So today I'm going to be updating my MLO tutorial to be compatible with Blender 4.0 and Sollumz 2.3 and above. That being said, if you don't already know how to use Blender and CodeWalker, I'd recommend you learn those, like the basics, before you jump straight into an MLO. First thing you're going to need to do is grab the exterior of the building. So just find where you want to put the MLO, of course, and then just export the exterior by copying the name, and in the RPF Explorer, just search it, and right-click Export as XML. Then open up the model and save the textures as well. Then with the building still selected, go to the YMAP here on the right and copy it. Search. Export this one as well. Then we're just going to move this out of the way and then export the terrain around it so we can align everything correctly. And we're just going to do the same process. Then we're going to change the selection mode to collision and select one of the polys and copy the YBN name. Search this as well. Then we're going to export the high and the normal versions. Last thing we need to export is the occlusions, so switch to occlusion, select one of them, and then export the YMAP. Then back into Blender, we're going to go to import, and import only the collisions and the models. Don't import any YMAPs yet. We can find the missing textures by pressing V. And save your blend file. Now we can import the YMAPs one by one, but make sure you have instant entities enabled. Now that we have everything imported, I just went ahead and hid the collisions and the occlusions. Now we're just going to remove the mesh that we need to remove so we can put in our interior. I'm just going to press L to select the linked faces for the window frames and the windows that we're going to be removing. And now we need to add a new plane by pressing Control A, or yeah, Shift A? Yeah, Shift A. Add a new plane and just snap it into position. But you'll see that it's not rotated correctly. So go to the snapping options, go to Edge, and align rotation to target. Then just clear the transforms for the rotation X and Y. And we can change this back to vertex and disable align rotation. And now we can just start shaping our interior. First, what we're going to do is select the face, go to Transforms Orientations and click the plus. Now once we have this front room like shaped, what we're going to do is press E to extrude, just add a little depth to the wall. And we're just going to add another back room here. We're also going to just split this in the middle at the back. I'm just going to remove these extra faces that we don't need. I'm just gonna import a reference model so we can get our door frames the correct height. Now that we have our shell completed, we're just gonna center the object origin. Rename this to like, actually we can just leave this for now. Now what I'm going to do is we're just going to model the front window frame and door frame. Now that we have our window frame modeled, what we're going to do is just enter the object origin as well. And we're just going to now that we have our window frame modeled as well and our shell complete, we can go ahead and just start texturing things. I'm just going to be copying some textures over from another interior, as this isn't really a tutorial on how to texture things, and more so a tutorial on the process. Now that we have our shell like with some basic textures and our window frame with the textures as well, what we're going to be doing is renaming our shell here. We're going to rename this to location, and we're going to rename our frame to, what I usually do is I do my name and then the project name, which is just going to be, and then what it is. So this will be the details. And then we're just going to duplicate our location object and rename this to your name, the project, and then shell. And to move the frame and the shell to the origin and make sure they're in the same place as they should be, I'm going to parent the details to the shell. Then we're just going to clear the transforms on our shell and clear the rotation. And then you can just clear the parent on the frame. I'm just going to apply all transforms on both of these. And now we can just go ahead and convert this to a drawable, and this one as well. What I'm going to do is add a new color attribute for the shell named color1. Make sure it's face corner and byte color, and set the green to 0.2. And do the same for the details. And what we're going to do is we're going to select our shell, duplicate it, clear the parent, and rename this to just your name and then the project. Then we're going to convert this to a composite. Apply flags to the bound geometry BVH. And now we have to set up the proper collision materials. We're going to be creating a wood solid for the front room. So we're just going to name this room 1. Create another one for the back room, so room 2. And set the room IDs for both. Then we're just going to add a concrete material for everything else. And we can go ahead and add a, or actually what we can do is we're going to duplicate our front frame here and clear the parent, and then join it to our collision mesh that we just created. And we're just going to create a metal solid collision material. Now we're going to create our Y-type. And we're going to select our shell and our tutorial, our shell and our details, auto create. Then we're going to just going to embed these textures for now, as it's not really the point of this video, just to show the updated process of making an MLO. Then switch the type to MLO, and then select your collision and auto create. Then click create limbo room, And we're just going to extend the bounds of it just a little bit on each side, just so there's a little bit of a buffer to prevent any issues. Then we can create a new room, rename this to front. I'm going to select the floor and part of the wall. Then we're going to click set bounds from selection. Then we're going to do the same by creating a new one and calling this back. Now we need to set up the portals. So just select 4 vertices, like on the door frame here, and then make sure the arrow's facing out, and it should be set from room front to limbo. Then we're just going to do that for the rest of these. For the top windows here, we can just do 1 portal. We don't need 1 for each. Then we need a portal to go to the back room. So this should be from room front to back. Now we need to add the shell and the details as an entity. So select your details and shell, click add, and set the rooms to limbo. The reason that the details object is going to be in the limbo as well is because it's going to have details in both rooms, so we can't set it to just one of them. Now we can go ahead and make sure there's no, what's it called, vertex colors on our collision for our MLO, so we can just remove this. You can also remove the UV map if we want. Now we can go ahead and export these. Now we need to go back to the world location and remove the collisions. To do so, we're just going to set the collision type or Sollumz type to bound geometry. Oh no, bound poly mesh. This way we can edit the mesh without it without having to like scale the collision box in a bunch of times and shit. Then we're just going to do the exact same thing for the high version. Remove the collisions in the way. And we can export our collisions. And we also need to remove, what's it called? Export our building. Now, last thing we need to do is just remove the occlusions. Now with the occlusions removed, we can export these as well. Now with everything exported, we're just going to import them back into CodeWalker. At first, you need to make sure your textures are in .dds. And we're just going to restart CodeWalker. And we're going to make a new YMAP and go back into Blender and go to the location object. Go to General, copy location, and it's the first button there. And then go to YMAP, new entity, and paste the location. Then we're going to put tutorial, or it should be, I think it's this. Yeah. Wait. Oh, we didn't export our YMAP. Or YTYP, I mean. I'm just going to save this for a second. And now we have our thing placed in CodeWalker. You can just go to Tools, Manifest Generator, Generate, and then Save. Now, if we go into Game, it should be working.